Next, we have the rise and fall of the A1GP, the World Cup of Motorsport. Okay, by Jake Sim Racing.
Have you ever thought it would be interesting if there was a World Cup or a...
I mean, I always thought that, that was the thing, yeah. I always assumed there's probably one.
Olympics of auto racing? Well, 20 years ago, that single idea entered the mind of, hold on, let me know if I am pronouncing this right, Sheikh Maktoum Hasher Maktoum Al Maktoum of Dubai. Coming from Dubai nobility,
okay.
He had the funds to start his own racing series. So what did he decide to do? He wanted to create an Olympics of motorsports, with every country entered using the same spec chassis, engine, and tires. He wanted to figure out what nation produced the best single-seater drivers and look to award gold medals to the winners. He commissioned longtime car builder Lola to build the cars, and he wanted them to look like a shark. No, seriously, according to former head of communications at Lola, Sam Smith, that's really what Maktoum wanted. Lola worked tirelessly to turn their old Formula 3000 chassis into what the Sheikh had requested, but they ended up meeting the deadlines, and some 54 cars in total, between the main chassis and the backups, were sent off to compete. On paper, the whole thing really was a silly idea. A motorsports version of the Olympics? That's the kind of thing only an aristocrat with a passion for racing could come up with. But the series had to be taken seriously after the FIA gave its backing. In 2005, the very first season of the A1 Grand Prix was held, and it piqued the interest of racing fans around the world. Here's how it worked. For the first season in 2005-06, 25 nations signed up to compete. The cars themselves were operated by well-known junior formula teams like ART, Dams, and Arden, for example.
Frankly, is there like a reason that there isn't already like some kind of soy bien? Okay. I got unlocked. Is there a reason there's no like motorsport in the Olympics? Is the Olympics literally just for like physical human activities? At the same time, I don't see why they wouldn't be racing, because, you know, like, it's physical and it's mental. But yeah, I guess there's just not enough room for it. Or it's like too recent. I mean, the Olympics is so old, and, you know, racing is like only 100 years old or something.
But each entry was branded by country, so you had Team USA, Team Australia, and so forth. 11 rounds would be held from the fall of 2005 to the spring of 2006. Each round had a feature race and a sprint race, with 4 separate qualifying sessions. The first 2 determined the lineup for the sprint race, and the latter 2 determined the lineup for the feature race. And all these sessions ran back to back to back to back, making it even more confusing. Each team was required to make 1 stop during the sprint race and 2 during the feature race. The car itself was equipped with something they called Power Boost, which worked the same way Push to Pass works in IndyCar, with a certain number of uses per race. The points system changed every year of the series' existence, but points paying positions went all the way down to 10th, with 10 points for first, 9 for second, and so forth. In 2 of the seasons, they gave 15 points for a win instead. Because the goal was to earn as many points for the country, there was a lot of drivers.
The FIA started their own Motorsport Olympics a few years ago, after being refused multiple times to actual Olympics. I see. I mean, the Olympics are weird anyway. It's like, they have a lot of like ultra unique sports that, you know, many people I feel like don't really watch. And I guess, yeah, they don't have like stuff that a massive amount of people watch, right? It's definitely kind of weird. I mean, if I'm to be honest, I have never watched the Olympics myself. Yeah, so I don't really know what they have, but yeah.
Switching from round to round.
Not too popular
As
yet.
an example, in 11 rounds, Team Australia entered 5 drivers, including the likes of Will Power, Will Davison, and Ryan Briscoe. As a startup series, it actually drew in quite a few notable names. Team Brazil was carried by Nelson Piquet Jr. and Christian Fittipaldi, Adrian Sutil for Germany, Karun Chandhok for India, Jos Verstappen for the Netherlands, Thomas Scheckter for South Africa, and Brian Herta for the US, amongst others. But Team France ended up dominating the championship, with Switzerland in second and Great Britain in third.
I'm trying to think if I know any Spanish word. Bueno, mucho bueno.
Third. In the second season, a young Nico Hülkenberg carried Team Germany to the top spot after a dominating season. The series was beginning to carve out a niche for itself. one where older vets could compete against younger junior drivers, all under the guise of national pride. Zandvoort, Brands Hatch, Sepang, and Shanghai, amongst others, provided the backdrop for a burgeoning series, one that seemingly could have made something work long term. However, that would not be in the cards for A1GP. During the second season, Sheikh Maktoum announced his intention to step down from the series. His personal pet project was now in the hands of his deputy, Tony Teixeira. The series did not have much financial viability, and a decision to get rid of the Lola car that had served the series well in favor of a new bespoke chassis designed by Ferrari drove up the cost to compete. One source claimed that 90% of the teams tried to warn series leadership that the new chassis was a waste of funds and poorly timed considering the short turnaround between seasons and the obvious economic questions that the series had. While shown on Sky in the UK and on Speed Channel in the US, the series' overall novelty had begun to worn off. It had struggled to gain steam amongst fans, and the big-name drivers that populated the first season were becoming rarer as time went on. At the end of the day, it really was just another spec single-seater series. At this time too, you had another similar series, Super League Formula, eating into A1GP's market.
I see.
That series honestly deserves a separate video, but it basically was just A1GP, except the teams were named in honor of soccer or football for my non-US viewers, clubs instead of nations. Although A1GP was a spec series, as we all know from watching spec series, teams can still do things to gain performance over their competitors. There's a reason motorsports has never caught on in the Olympics. There's so many factors that go into auto racing beyond the drivers themselves. All of this was compounded when the global financial crisis of 2008 hurt the series further. I think A1GP hit a financial wall, had its novelty wear off, and was overall mismanaged. Even in the final season of 2008-09, they had 4 rounds cancelled. By the start of the next season, A1GP was unable to fly out to Australia for the season opener, opening a can of worms in which tracks and promoters cancelled outright, or replaced A1GP with a Super League Formula race instead. It was at that point by 2010 in which A1GP went into liquidation and had its assets sold off. But there have been numerous attempts to revive the series by various people, all of which have failed, including a 2023 proposal led by Sir Keith Mills, who was a key part of the London Olympics, and former Alpine boss Marcin Budkowski. So what do you think? Do you think A1GP got going at the wrong time, right before a financial crisis, or was the series going to eventually change or end regardless? I think the novelty of having nations compete wore off. Yeah, it's always fun to take pride in your country, but I
mean, technically, it's already like that in normal racing. Like, the drivers are all from different countries, so it's already kind of like countries competing against each other, right? I mean, I know that the driver from like the UK can compete for like a Brazilian team or something, but there's still already like an aspect of rooting for countries in a way. So it's not that different, I assume.
At a certain point, racing will always be about 2 things, the drivers and the cars. All the cars were the same, they were recycled F3000 machines, and the drivers ran as Team Germany or Team France on timing and scoring. It's hard to really capture the average race fan when the series is run that way. But I get it, the idea was to give everyone equal equipment and see which nation came out on top. Sure. Unfortunately, I think the idea was a little too out there for what auto racing is ultimately about.
But yeah, and also like saying it like that, that's part of the problem, right? Because it's less about like which nation is better at making car, it's which of like this driver is the better one since they all have the same thing. And so this guy is better, but you know, doesn't mean that like the nation is better at making cars or something. I don't know.
Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you, and I hope to see you in the next video.
Well, yeah, I don't know enough about racing to really, you know, I don't really know what to say too much, but yeah, sounds like a shame. I mean, again, it would be kind of cool if there was some, like, racing Olympics or alternative Olympics for, like, some of the stuff that isn't allowed in the Olympics, you know? I think that'd be cool, yeah. As a watcher of the UFC, I always wonder, like, how long until it gets there, and with it, they do have boxing, right, and, you know, karate and some of the martial arts, right, but I wonder if, like, it would actually ever make it to the Olympics. Like, it's still young, right, I mean, it's been popular for 30 years now, but it's like, you know, I always think that's maybe too violent, right? Like, even though in some way it's safer than boxing and stuff like that, right? But yeah, I always wonder if it will ever make it, and you know, if it makes it, I don't even know if people would really watch. Yeah. There are so many accents in Francais. They go both direction too. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of straightforward, like the accent, you know, like A and E. It's not too hard, that one. Yeah. But the C, I don't know how you call it in English, but the CCD, that's a weird one. I mean, that one, you know, it's weird. For sure. I can't even explain it to you because I don't remember the explanation for the CCD. It's a weird one. There's also like, there's point like in Olympic, it's about the athlete drivers and not about the equipment. Breakdancing is where it's at. Yeah, I remember that that dancer from Australia, yeah. That was something. It's funny that there's something like breakdancing at the Olympic, which is, you know, it's so much more like it's so much more, it's less objective and it's a lot more about like personal preference, you know, that you judge it, right? So I feel like racing is more straightforward, right? Like, you finish first, you win. I don't know. Good video.